Stop scrolling, because what you're about to hear is already controlling your decisions, even if you believe it isn't. Right now, you think you're in control of your choices, your opinions, your actions. Psychology says that's an illusion. And the reason is simple. Most people don't make decisions freely. They follow them, not because they're weak, not because they're stupid, but because their brain was designed to obey, before it was designed to think. And once you understand this, you start seeing it everywhere. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Humans are social animals, and the human brain is wired with one primary rule. Belong first, question later. Thousands of years ago, this kept us alive. If you didn't follow the group, you didn't survive. But today, that same survival system is what controls modern humans. Think about how often people copy behavior. At work, in society, on the internet. People don't ask, is this right? They ask, what are others doing? And then they follow. This is called social proof. And it's one of the most powerful psychological forces ever discovered. Here's how it works. When the brain feels uncertain, it looks outward instead of inward. It scans the environment and asks, if everyone else is doing this, it must be safe. That's why crowds influence decisions. That's why trends spread. That's why misinformation travels faster than facts. The brain doesn't want truth first. It wants safety. And safety comes from numbers. This is why people stay silent, even when they know something is wrong. Speaking up risks rejection. Disagreement risks isolation. And the brain treats isolation as danger, so it chooses silence. This is why people follow harmful rules. Why they accept unfair systems. Why they obey authority figures, even when it feels wrong. Because disobedience feels risky, and obedience feels safe. If this already makes you uncomfortable, that's not an accident. That discomfort is awareness. And if you want content that explains why humans behave this way, not just what they do, subscribe to Dark Origins. This channel exists to break mental patterns, not reinforce them. Now let's take this deeper. Because social proof is only the surface. Underneath it is something far more dangerous. Responsibility transfer. When authority is involved, the brain does something shocking. It hands over responsibility. People stop thinking, I'm doing this, and start thinking, I was told to do this. That single mental shift removes guilt. It removes accountability. And it makes ordinary people capable of extraordinary harm. This is why people say things like, I was just following orders. It wasn't my decision. I didn't have a choice. The brain accepts these explanations because they reduce internal conflict. Obedience becomes emotional relief. And here's the scariest part. Most people believe they would resist. They believe they'd speak up. They believe they'd refuse. Statistics say otherwise. In controlled psychological studies, the majority of participants obeyed authority, even when it clearly harmed someone else. Not because they wanted to, but because their brain told them. Obedience was safer than resistance. Now look at modern life. Workplaces, institutions, online communities, rules that don't make sense, norms that feel wrong. Most people notice. Very few challenge them, because challenging the group feels more dangerous than accepting discomfort. This is how control works. It doesn't need force. It needs agreement. Once enough people comply, non-compliance becomes risky, and the system sustains itself. The most disturbing part, this psychology doesn't disappear when you become educated. In fact, smart people are often better at justifying obedience. They explain it, they rationalize it, they intellectualize it, until obedience feels logical. Now ask yourself something honestly. How many times have you stayed quiet to avoid tension? How many times have you agreed just to move on? How many times have you followed a rule without questioning its purpose? That's not weakness. That's conditioning. But here's the good news. Awareness changes the pattern. Once you understand why your brain wants to obey, you can slow it down. You can pause and ask a different question. Not, what will happen if I resist? But, who benefits if I don't? That single question breaks automatic obedience. If this video made you think differently, even for a moment, you're already ahead of most people. So if you want more content that exposes the hidden mechanics behind human behavior, subscribe to Dark Origins, because the most powerful control is the kind you don't notice. And the moment you notice it, it starts to lose power. Thanks for giving some time.